Alrighty, folks, what's going on? This is Matt here for Dark One Linux Tech and Gamers, the fusion of Linux technology and gaming. And we are looking at a video. I haven't done one of these in a while, by fairly big YouTubers, at least in the hardware space specifically, and that is ToastyBros. And generically, they tend to do more realistically budgeted machines. They do have like the super uber shit you would normally see from those that are disconnected from like people living on an actual budget. So I do find this interesting because this is, ultra budget gaming PC challenge. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go and how what they're going to do. I will save my judgment on the title and kind of the stereotypes that they're playing into with the Linux stuff. But let's see what the hardware is and all that stuff and what they choose for distros, etc.
All right, guys, you finally got us to cave. Today, we're going to try Linux.
And we're going to do it in ToastyBros fashion. Welcome to the Ultra Budget Gaming PC Challenge Linux Edition. We're going to spin a wheel to determine which distro we have to try, what our budget is for the PC, and of course, we got to throw in a fun caveat. We're going to spin that wheel after word from today's sponsor.
You thought we wouldn't catch you playing games with an unactivated Windows license. Well, the fun's over, but
Please hold. Skipping sponsor spot.
Some slightly different rules in our typical wheel spin challenge. So for this Linux challenge, we have to get a Linux distro that'll be decided by the wheel, and then we need to play at least 3 games and demo the games, show that they actually work. We need to test 3 real-life applications, so something that Matt and I would actually do in our day-to-day lives. And then after we're done with that, we need to actually sell the other person on our distro and why it's the best.
And we got a bunch of different Linux distros. Of course, these are not all of them, but we have a
God, I hate the selling of what my distro is the best. Bro, just use whatever the fuck you're gonna use. Who cares? This is the same argument. Like they're playing into the stereotype of evangelizing, and I fucking hate that. But maybe the upsell isn't the typical "it's free" crap. So let's go into it. But they're playing into certain stereotypes that I really don't like, but as it relates specifically to the Linux, like the ultra budget PC. You can do some high performance computing with Linux. Just saying. You can, anyway, let's let them keep rolling, see what they go with.
have a good amount of ones that were recommended as gaming-focused distros. I know you guys are very passionate in this community, and there's probably gonna be one that we missed out. So let us know down below, but be nice about it, please. But what we're gonna go ahead and do is spin the wheel, see which distro we get, the price of the build we have to build, and then also the random caveat that makes it either easier on us or harder. So who's spinning first? Jonah, I always let you pick. Who's going first?
Matt this time.
Me? Okay. So I will say, if this is rigged, it's rigged. I really want to try Bazzite. I really want to, because that's kind of what inspired me to get back into the Linux distro game. So let's hit the wheel and see if I happen to get it. And also, we added more options here. So
You get 2 chances of getting it. Oh my God.
are you kidding me?
He got
it's
it.
rigged.
What the
Yes. Bazzite, let's go.
The good news is I don't have any, I don't really care.
All right. I don't really care. Bazzite, I got the one I wanted. That's awesome. All
Can
right.
you get the budget for it though?
I'm going to shuffle the budget again to make sure you guys know this wasn't rigged. I'm hitting shuffle a bunch of times, I swear.
Here, go ahead and tell them the budget that you wanted to.
I want 250. 300.
You got more than he wanted.
Oh, at 300 bucks.
not bad.
That's pretty cool. I know Bazzite's very AMD focused, so we'll definitely be doing an all AMD build. Now, will I be able to do a custom PC, or will I have to use a Office PC upgrade only? Will I lose some money, gain some money? Do I have to use RGB? Let's figure it out here.
hopefully you get something a little.
Upgrade
Ooh.
Office PC only, so I cannot do a custom build. So
Probably kind of good for you.
it might be kind of good. I just got to find a Ryzen-based Office computer to upgrade, most likely. So let's go over again. We got Bazzite, which is the distro I wanted to try. It's going to be a lot of fun. $300 for the budget, and I have to upgrade an Office PC. So let's go ahead and shuffle everything and let Jackson spin the wheel.
Okay, so $300 Office PC and upgrade to So as a Linux user, and if you're using Bazzite, it does work with NVIDIA, but it's more desktop-y oriented. The plus with Bazzite is kind of like Chimera OS. If you have these things, the handhelds. It's just that's what it focuses on better. I'm not saying it's not a good distro for the desktop, etc., but it's just kind of what it is. Now, if it was me and you're going the Ryzen end of the spectrum, you're gonna want to go older Office PCs, so probably Ryzen 2000 3000 series, just because your age of the system and the age of the specs are going to be lower. Parts will be more readily available, generically cheaper. If you want decent GPU performance for and to stay within that budget, so you still have some flex with your pricing, I would recommend probably a Radeon RX 580 because it's 8 gigs of VRAM, gets you decent performance at 1080p, and literally, I have one of my eGPU down here, and I paid $50 for it. So it's a good price to performance, especially in this kind of ultra budget range where every upgrade cost does matter. And obviously look at like SSDs and like kind of what you're looking at for SSD speeds and prices, etc., space, RAM, blah, 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 all the typical stuff. So let's keep on rolling and see what the other one here, I guess, to go with.
See, like I said, I don't care which distro I get. I hope I just get a good amount of money, and I kind of hope that I don't get a bad curveball.
And also, just to point out, if we get a duplicate, we're going to respin because we want to learn different distros here.
Well, I kind of want Bazzite now. I'll take it.
Oh, no.
Oop.
Oh, Mint. Linux Mint.
I actually have I have the ever so slightest background with Ubuntu, but I've never touched Mint before, ever.
Right there, he's going to get minty.
Okay. I've heard Mint's good, though. It seems like a pretty popular one.
What do you think your price is going to be?
I'm hoping it's a good amount because I really want to do. Oh God! Oh, 350. I will take that.
That's nice. That's nice.
I will take three. Okay, stop.
Please.
So Mint, $350.
Well, you lose $25.
Add 25. Please don't make me do RGB.
Upgrade Office PC. You know what? You guys are right about adding more because that was very suspenseful.
Dude, I really thought, I almost got plus 25. Instead, I got upgrade Office PC.
So we're going to be upgrading a bunch of Office computers today, guys. So what'd you get in total?
So Mint for the operating system or distro, $350, and upgraded Office PC only, which I'm going to be honest, I feel like either one of us probably would have done for this price.
Yeah, much easier that way. So let's get to shopping. We're going to look at the requirements for.
Okay. So basically they're both in the same boat. As far as the choice of distros, the gaming experience, depending on how they go, is going to be very, very different from one another. Bazzite is very gaming focused. Mint is not. So there's going to be some differences in certain things that'll be there and certain things that won't. Now, if they're just doing stuff from Steam, it's kind of a moot point at that, honestly. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go. And if this goes the way I think these usually go, it'll kind of quantify something that I talk about a lot as it becomes to distros actually do mattering.
For each OS and determine what we want to do there, learn a little bit more about it, and get to buying. And then you'll see the entire process of us either doing an easy job at setting up our Linux distro or struggling, and then we'll see if it was all worth it in the end.
Let's go shop.
This OS is very similar to SteamOS, and it works really well in a bunch of different handhelds as well. You need any CPU, really. CPU doesn't seem to matter. Graphics card just needs to be a modern AMD GPU. The shipping costs are stupid on eBay right now. What is going on? Okay, so this has RAM, but no hard drive. I think I can work with that. It's 156, so I have 143 bucks. I'm not doing this again, Matt. I'm not going to get something that doesn't fit in a build again. I refuse. I need an SSD too, so I gotta chill. So I think this one might be the most cost effective. Yeah, let's go with this one. I think the shipping is a scam. I'll be totally honest with you. I think we're good. All right, let's go ahead and order everything, and then I gotta learn Bazzite, and hopefully this will work just fine on this PC.
From what I can tell, Mint doesn't really seem to have like a ton of system requirements. Literally 2 gigs of RAM, 20 gigs of space, and 1024 resolution. One thing I do want to do is go AMD. Let's do Ryzen HP. Ooh, 3400G. I don't really want small form factor though. Tested and working. white layer of dust. We're just gonna go ahead and round up. We're gonna say 150 on the graphics card, so that means we have 200. Ooh, with that shipping though, we're gonna be a little over. Okay, see, I don't hate that. We have 12 gigs of RAM, so that means it's guaranteed to have dual channel. We're gonna need a SATA to 8-pin. Okay, so 3229 for a brand new one. Subtotal to 327 with shipping. Let's go ahead and check out, and then once these get here, Matt and I'll get them built. My PC is finally here, so 350 bucks to spend, which pretty respectable, especially for something like Linux. I did some research on Mint, and I'll be honest, I still don't feel like I know anything. And now another thing is, I don't know if my graphics card's gonna fit. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now before you guys get mad at me in the comments. My graphics card choice, it's interesting. I wouldn't recommend it at home. As usual, this is a challenge. And with the challenge, I wanna win. All right, look, it actually came with 12 gigs of RAM from the factory. You see the sticker here? That's always, I love that. Let's go ahead and open it up because I want to see what type of expandability I have if I can find a screwdriver. Oh man, we're already using the NVMe slot. Well, that sucks. I guess I might just have to replace this drive, which honestly should be good. This could definitely be a solid little upgrade, and these have pretty good read and write speeds.
Okay, so the choices some of these guys make, because, you know, most people, even the budgets they have, most people are going to be building using something that they were a hand-me-down essentially, or, you know, dumpster dives, more or less. So I always find there's this weird disconnect between what people consider cheap and affordable. Now, I'm not saying 350 bucks or 300 bucks for a system is super expensive, because it's not. I'm looking at what they're doing for upgrades to those systems. That's what I'm more curious on. Like the GPUs, like these type of systems are all compromise about what you're going to do and build and all that stuff. So like, I'll take a hit on a little bit older GPU so I can have more RAM, bigger SSD, etc. You know, less power draw on the PSU, because I don't know what you're not going to know what the power supply is on some of these machines, whether or not they actually will support a full, you know, card or not. So there's a lot of like what ifs and stuff to go with it. But again, I'm not ragging the choices. I'm not ragging what they're doing. I appreciate people who actually do this. I think sometimes though there's not enough of a balancing act that is done on a lot of these videos. Now, again, it's all relative and it's all user preference and based. As far as choices in distros, it's random, so I'll give them that.
I think my graphics card is going to fit just fine, but the main note with this power supply is we are rocking a solid, so many watts. We got 180 watts. 180 watts. Yeah. Oh yeah, Matt. I hear him screaming over there. The good news is we are running Linux, which should be a little less demanding than Windows. This is right here is a 6600, an RX 6600. Looks a lot better. That was a quick, easy process. Yeah, this is one of those ones where, I mean, guys, this is bad enough. Normally, I would just be like, let's just sell it for cheap at ToastyBros. This is getting a different GPU. Maybe no GPU at all, honestly. 5600Gs or 3600Gs still a solid choice for something just like regular everyday Linux. Let's go ahead and get some games on it. All right, so to give you guys an update on Mint OS, so far, it's been pretty good. The only real hurdle I've had that was more serious was I was trying to install Mint on the actual computer, but I was clicking the wrong option. I was just pressing run. So it looked like I was in Mint, but every time I tried to launch Steam or do anything, I was getting errors. Well, it turns out you need to do the OEM install and then it'll actually install on the SSD, which we have now. The only other real thing I haven't figured out just yet is how to get a controller working. I've gotten the Bluetooth working, like where the controller shows up, but it isn't working in Rocket League. So we may have to go mouse and keyboard. That's just one example of where Windows can be a little bit easier to use. Let's go ahead and keep on going forwards and present what we got. I got it set up on an actually pretty nice 120 Hz Pixio monitor. I have a few games here. Now I will explain in a minute that not all of them work, some applications, and then the PC, of course, with the 3400G and the RX 6600 and the SSD that we added is all good to go. My overall experience is pretty chill. So let's go grab Matt. Matt, we need you.
I'm busy.
What are y'all doing?
Oh, I don't know, nothing too important.
All right, so we got Mint set up, and I'm on Cinnamon. So
Cinnamon mint.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Okay.
There's a few different types of Mint. You know, like there's ones for older desktops, like Mint Lite.
Okay.
This is just like the pretty standard desktop edition. So yeah, you can change like where everything is. You can change the colors, the backgrounds, the themes. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a Windows vibe, Windows 7. You know, it's kind of in the off to the left. It's installed in my 512 gig SSD, so Gen 3.
What else you got in that build? I'm like wondering what the story is behind this build. So HP.
Yeah, HP. So 3400G.
Okay.
And RX 6600.
Okay.
Solid, right?
That's not bad. Because you had 350, you said you were under a little bit?
Yeah, I was under a little bit. Even after getting the SSD, I thought about getting more RAM, but I think I already had 12 gigs of RAM. Yeah, good luck getting that off. I glued it.
You glued it?
Not for any particular reason.
Is there a reason why?
No, I just, you know, just there's no reason to open it up or anything.
I see an adapter.
Oh yeah, what kind of adapter?
Is it? Oh God.
Oh,
God.
he's breaking my PC.
It's SATA. At least we got dual channel memory. That's nice. We got Fang Shang.
Yeah. So this is a 180 watt power supply.
Have we hooked this up to a watt reader yet?
No.
It's beautiful.
Looking good. 0 watts.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'd say the desktop environment is, I mean, I messed with Linux a long time ago, and it was very similar to where it was like super user-friendly, but it's all the stuff behind the scenes when you're actually trying to launch something or actually trying to do something other than just looking at the desktop where it gets kind of complicated.
Oh, yeah.
But you're saying so far Steam seemed to work just fine?
Yeah, all I had to do was just type in the software manager, and I don't know if this is most operating systems that are on Linux, but you have this really nice user interface. Like for example, if I want Steam, I just type in Steam, and then you can download Steam right here. And then these are like extra packages. Let's just see if this launches, because Steam just won't pull up right now. All right, so I restarted, and now Steam is open. And Halo has a little update.
Now it's launching. Let's go. Now, shout out to AMD. AMD has been very like forward on supporting Linux, especially with their graphics cards and drivers like that, and everything just works out the gate. And even when you can update the drivers manually, I'm assuming most of the updates would probably come with like distro like updates. So like updating through Linux instead of updating through AMD for drivers.
Yeah, which I'm totally cool with. As long as the game's running like it should, but it's hard to tell. All right, guys.
Okay, so I just saw Master Chief Collection, Rocket League, Apex. They're going to be in for a shitty awakening there. If this was recorded in the last couple of days. There's, Counter-Strike and TF2. So, maybe Mint's gotten some of their shit together. I am not a Mint guy personally. It's more for philosophical reasons as far as how the projects run. Just not a fan of that. But as far as a product, for the most part, it's perfectly usable and perfectly fine. It doesn't keep me from recommending it to other people. Just personally for me, I'm not going to use it, but other people, go ahead and use it, bro. Have fun. Yes, there are different flavors of, Linux Mint. There's, at least you didn't get into like the Debian editions. And anyway, so let's talk about, hardware choices yet again. I think probably going a bit cheaper on the GPU, with like again, I'm harping on the cost because I'm looking at it as like, okay, further down the line. So if this is a base platform, I'm going to be upgrading. Like, oh, if I upgrade the power supply and still have a decent, but not great, stellar, or cap out my budget on a GPU, I think his GPU was what, 150-ish, give or take. So instead of spending 150 on that, get the 580, give you what you're looking for. I don't know, exactly what they're looking for like game specs and all that stuff. Get a 580 or whatever, GPU, or the 5000 series GPUs or whatever. Use those, and then you have extra cash to either upgrade your RAM, to upgrade your power supply if you plan on using this as a base platform for a while. That is something that I always have an issue with, is like it's just a disconnect that I feel that a lot of these guys have, where it's just like, oh, they're just going to upgrade the GPU and the RAM and the SSD. And those are general upgrades that most people will make. I'm not saying that, but if you're using it as a base platform, like I'm going to build on top of this or eventually get a bigger GPU as an example. Well, you're going to need to upgrade the power supply eventually anyway. So do you want both costs or one cost? That's kind of what it is. So, and that's so instead of having to eat the cost of, say, you upgrade to insert higher GPU here, instead of eating just that GPU cost, you also have to, what's the power drive requirements? Oh, well, if it's, newer stuff, we're going to get real toasty there. But you'll need a bigger power supply. So now you have to add the, $60 to $200 on top of that if that's where you want to go. So it's kind of that disconnect where I think sometimes some of these builds are, as far as the content of what they're doing, I like. Again, different approach on how they're doing it, and I understand that. I'm just saying the way I'm looking at it and from it, it ticks the budget boxes, but it doesn't take the budget mindset necessarily. And I think that's where my disconnect with this kind of comes in.
Hi guys, so Halo just wasn't loading. I feel like now that I'm trying to present this, I'm not having good luck.
There's like no text on anything.
Look at this. My menus have no text. I had to like guess to get into the game. But I mean, hey, mouse and keyboard works fine. I'm not at all proficient with mouse and keyboard, but it works. We're getting like 60 FPS. I don't even know what's set. Well,
wasn't this one one that doesn't support Linux technically now?
Yeah, when you open the game, it literally says like no Linux support or something along those lines. It says no Linux or Mac support, I think, which is kind of wild.
So I guess they dropped that with their anti-cheat. Maybe it's probably the same deal as all the other ones. So I love the no text. But you're getting 60 FPS, so I mean it's at least gaming. What are we doing wattage wise?
Only 60 watts.
Oh wow! Shout out Rocket League, baby.
We need to bring back this, guys. This was such a good, like Left 4 Dead, so scary when that launched. Yeah, we're getting like 80 to 100 FPS.
So as far as the issues with Rocket League, I could be multiple things, since, Epic owns it. What I will say to that particular thing, though, is mess around with your versions of Proton. Mess around. So you would go into Steam, right click on it, go into compatibility, tell it, make sure it's using, the newest stable version of Proton as opposed to whatever. You might be using the old native builds. I'm not sure exactly how that's playing out as far as in the back end. So you pretty much going to want to use the Proton version, or just use Proton. Even if there was a Linux native version, I generally just recommend using Proton at this point for the most part. As bad as that sounds to the purists, it's just reality. So that's probably the issue as it relates to Rocket League. As far as Master Chief Collection, I own it. I know I've run it on here before. It might be some games, or sometimes I should say, the compatibility stuff is not in the distro by default, which is problematic. So there could also be that issue. So just keep that in mind. With Halo, as an example, you would need to install specifically Proton EAC to actually have it EAC. And EAC is part of, last I remember, EAC is part of the Master Chief Collection. So again, this is where you get into some of the nitty gritty annoyances, and some of this stuff, though, this is why I recommend distros based on what your use case is, because this is where distros matter and demographics matter. Whereas other jackwagons on the internet that do YouTube that will say distros don't matter, they do depending on the purpose of what the user needs. Case in point. So messing around or having it pre-done. The distro and the out-of-the-box experience fucking matters.
Yes, when we die, we get 200. So hey, the games that really work on Linux, it seems like they really do work well. I just don't have a ton of like, it seems like all my old games are Linux, like Half-Life, Garry's Mod, basically anything Valve, like OG Valve pretty much. Dude, they got such a unique combo here. We got the medic making this guy Uber. TF2 worked really well. So far, I've gotten 2 games. I will say one of them, like Rocket League, I don't know what was going on. It didn't act like that before. But I think now, guess we'll try Halo again, because I think it's the only other... Actually, wait, I think Fallout.
Oh, Fallout?
I don't think I ever tried it.
Okay, let's try Fallout.
I know that I got past this earlier, I think. Maybe I'm just going too fast. Like, I need to, like, I press it once, and then I wait. Or maybe enter. Jackson! Yeah, keep this close.
Holy crap.
We're playing though.
It looks...
See, do you see what I'm saying?
It has like a little bit of choppiness, yeah.
Which I don't know if that has anything to do with... Oh my god, what gun is that? Oh, this is a small cap shift lag map. I'm getting like over 100 FPS, but it doesn't really... Oh, you know what? Sometimes it is smooth. What if it has to do with the power?
It could be. You could be getting power throttled.
Yeah, I mean, guys, quit worrying with the wattage. I don't know why y'all are so worried. Dude, what is happening in this game? Oh, I'm hitting. Honestly, I'm really here to sell you on Mint, Matt.
Have you sold me?
I don't really think so. I think I've gotten a little bit unlucky with either my install or like the way I've used it. I'm by no means a Linux. I'm like, I would consider myself like barely even novice, honestly. I'm gonna show you some of my applications now, Matt, and then I think I'm ready to check out Bazzite. All right, so I just want to show you my applications real quick. I'm curious what you got too, but I got Google Earth. I've always thought this is kind of cool. It's pretty smooth. I know Google Earth is actually pretty hard to run. So this is GIMP of sorts. So let's go ahead and pull in an image. This is basically like a Photoshop that's free to use. The Peppa.
Okay, here comes the Peppa. Do you remember how to move it? He doesn't remember. Do I need to get Zach? Oh, there you go,
I am not a Photoshop person, by the way, but it does seem like it's kind of like, it's better than Paint. This was interesting. So I normally use Vegas. I know most people here use Premiere. We're gonna see just how well or horrible this works. So 4K footage recorded straight on the camera Jonah's using now. It's pretty cool. Just a cheap little, not even cheap, free video editing software. Pretty useful. We got Discord. I don't want to log in, but it's Discord. You guys know how that works. It's supported on Linux. And then the last thing was Bamboo Studio. This does require login, but this is a basic 3D app, like for 3D modeling, but you can also use it to actually print to your printers and everything. And once you log in, you know, it's a very useful app. I only needed 3 actual usable applications. I just got a few that I wanted to see how they worked, and they all seem to work really well. So besides my games not working super great on Mint, which it's supposed to be a pretty game-forward operating system with everything else as well, I think it was a pretty good experience overall.
We'll see what Bazzite's all about.
Bazzite.
All right, guys.
So again, Mint is catered to general use. So it tries to encompass the widest berth of things, but in doing so, it tends to miss some of the more nuanced things that some users would care about. That's just the reality. I mean, it's the same thing you would run into Ubuntu or any of the other kind of general use, specifically designed general use distros. They're going to be lacking in certain things in certain areas, whereas the demographically done ones can kind of be twisted back to a more of a general use a lot easier than they can be molded the other way around that involve less headaches. It's easier to remove stuff than it is to add all the nuanced stuff that tend to sometimes require to go into a Linux install on a distro. So like for me, I use Garuda, but the reason I use Garuda is not because I like Arch. As much as people think it's like, oh, you're an Arch guy. I'm like, actually, I hate the way Arch generally works. I hate the way that X, Y, and Z works. I like Garuda because it gets me up and running the fastest without all the headaches and all the other setup and all the little nuanced stuff that doing Arch the right way requires. And other distros require. It is literally install it, rip out a couple of things that I don't like, check a bunch of boxes after the first install, and hey, look, 90% of my system's done. And then it's just a few application install, and I don't care. Like instead of using I think he was using Kden Live from what it looked like. It might have been, I think it was Kden Live. So instead of using Kden Live, I would install Cinelera as an example. So it's preference at that point. It's application preferences as opposed to what's available. So overall, it's interesting seeing what they're talking about. And, again, seeing some of the stuff that people who generally don't use Linux are going to run into, because it does give us a reality check. And it kind of, those of us who talk about the mythological new user or people who don't care about tech, you see the perspective. Now, some in the Linux community will generally have their head shoved so far up their own ass and cemented there, they can't see a different perspective. That's unfortunately a certain portion demographic of the community. And bigger people cater to that one. Don't know why. But I like seeing this perspective brought into the conversations and stuff because it's needed and where we can improve.
All right, guys, it's time for me to dive into Linux. Once again, I had $300 to spend, so I was a little bit more limited than Jackson was. I ended up going with a Lenovo workstation. My idea was get a slightly better CPU than I would with just a normal HP or something like that, and maybe in the long run have better gaming performance. But also, I'm kind of curious if something like this Lenovo workstation would work with Bazzite, which is the Linux distro I had to get.
So one thing I do want to state, the fact that he went with a workstation is always a much more interesting choice, not just from a hardware perspective, but cost perspective, especially if you're in that budget range, because what will happen is when companies specifically do their 3 to 5 year rotation on a lot of their hardware, that stuff floods the market. And stuff becomes super cheap because it's readily available in quantity. So, like he was talking about, CPU upgrades. Cool. The best example I can give you is buy an older cheese grater Mac and see how expensive the CPUs were. At one point, I think the last time I owned a cheese grater Mac, I upgraded to the best processors possible, and they were like $20 a whack. And that was that it was 2 quad core Xenons. So at the time, it was an older 2009, I believe. Might have been no, it was 2008. Yeah, it was 2008 cheese grater that I was like, what can I do with this? I did a lot with it, surprisingly, but the cost on that, a lot of stuff, because of the bulk quantity that floods the market, makes it a lot easier and a lot cheaper to upgrade them down the line. And I kind of like where he's coming from, because he's taking it more in kind of the perspective I'm looking at these systems is like, what can I upgrade down the line? Not just like, here's the system, throw stuff in it. That perspective I actually do like.
Yeah, the only thing that I really had to make sure of is that I had an AMD GPU that was 5000 series or greater. And it comes with a Quadro card, which in any other Linux distro, if like Jackson and I swapped, it would work just fine. But this Quadro is not gonna work great. Honestly, it's a little dusty, it's not horrible. Single channel memory.
Oh no, buddy.
Ew. But hey, this is gonna be a fun test, because the idea of Linux is you're utilizing much more of your hardware because the operating system's much more lightweight. So maybe single channel won't be as bad. It probably will still be a problem, but we'll test it here. I'll give it a little bit of a dusting real quick over the trash can because we got a little bit of dust here. But let me show you the rest of the stuff that I have. SSD is just a brand new BX500 480 gigabyte, and then my graphics card is the 5500 XT, which, Jonah, there's no way I was gonna have Fitment issues. It's a 5500 XT 8 gig. It's 5000 series, probably the cheapest card that I could get that was 5000 series that would work great with Bazzite, but I made sure to get an adapter because this power supply, I will say, benefit to Lenovo with these workstations does come with a 6-pin power, but we're going to adapt it to 8, which again, it's much safer than the SATA route. Release the Kraken.
What is in there? There's something rattling around here. What is it?
Oh, here it comes.
What's that?
What'd you get?
That's...
Oh.
I have no idea what that's for. Ew! Back up, Jonah. they'll never be seen from again. The power supply, by the way, mentioned that adapter is a 450 watt power supply, which plenty of watts. That should work just fine for this setup. Make sure everything fits. It would be ironic if there was some reason why it didn't fit. I would just quit these challenges forever. I'll go iGPU for every one of my builds. So that's in, we're good to go. We gotta wait for some more stuff to come in from PC Bros. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it the normal way, the way that most of you at home should do it. Because again, it's fine. There she is. We should be good to install Bazzite. I'm gonna figure out how to get my USB going. And once we have the USB, it should be as simple as plugging in the USB, downloading, getting in there, and then drivers should auto install. Again, we're learning.
So the thing I love that he just mentioned, learning how to get the install from into the BIOS and stuff. It's a key step that a lot of Linux users, when they talk about, oh, Linux is easy to install. Bro, most people don't even know how to get into the fucking BIOS or UEFI or, you know, whatever, boot from the USB. They don't even know how to burn out. They don't even know what an ISO is. They don't know, you know, they have thumb drive, USB drive. That's all they know. But they don't know how to get the .img file to the fucking thing unless you tell them.
Learning this as we go. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this video, considering a lot of people have been begging us to do Linux content, but hopefully it's as easy as I think it's going to be, especially because I did my due diligence in terms of looking up research for what hardware is.
Also, something that I did mention is about drivers. Yes, there are drivers, just not in the traditional way you think, because all the shit is generically, as it relates to AMD, is generally in the kernel. And I will state the following: if you need pro stuff, use the pro drivers. If you just need general use drivers, just use the shit that comes with a distro.
Supported. She's on. I think she's just on.
Hey guys, it is day one of trying to get Bazzite installed on my PC. And I'll be honest with you, I'm getting flashbacks to when I tried to set up the mining rig with MineOS. If you watch that video.
For the past 4 or 5 hours, something wrong with this cable that I had. 20 freaking attempts. I basically struggled to figure out that.
Great. So far off to a great start. It can be a little more complicated with some of the stuff going on behind the scenes in Windows to make a Linux USB that functions properly. I now have to wait for this flash drive to finish formatting through DiskPart, and then I'll reflash it again, and hopefully that fixed it. Or I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. The initial install that I did was only the desktop environment. I believe when I was doing the checklist options, I didn't have it to where it defaulted to the gamepad or the game experience environment, which is really what the Steam Deck looks like. So because of that, I went back and reinstalled using the home theater mode, which again, you don't really have to use the home theater mode. You can use the desktop mode with the environment enabled, but I just wanted to make sure I was doing it right and it wouldn't happen again. So I went and installed the home theater environment, installed a bunch of games back, and now, hey, we're launching into our first game actually. Everything seems to just work. So I installed all the games, did the whole process, and now I have a really cool home theater-like environment, or basically like my own console environment that is now launching Spider-Man Miles Morales. And I got a bunch of applications installed on the desktop as well. So I'm gonna go through and just make sure all these work, but I think I am ready. All right, so I just finished setting up my, Bazzite PC, and I need to go get, what the heck is going on here? Guys, you two ready? I'm just going to act like that didn't happen. That's cool. It took a little bit of time, but once I got it set up, I really like it. So
as far as the install issues, I'm not really pointing fingers anywhere. If I remember correctly, the documentation on Bazzite is fairly substantial as far as how they tell you to burn, what to use, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know what necessarily could be causing that issue. As far as the USB itself, depending on what it's being formatted to, it could be the issue, because if you're using Etcher, it can be problematic sometimes, but then again, most of them can be. So again, it all depends on kind of what you're using, what you're formatting to, from, etc. So I can't speak of the intricacies of what you had previously formatted said drive to. Sometimes you have to play with Windows. It's kind of like when I specifically have the opposite problem. So something will format fine in Linux, but I try to plug it into Windows, and Windows can't even read the drive at all. Like I have to go back into Linux, go into say KDE partition manager, reformat the drive as either exFAT or FAT32 or unformatted or whatever, just to get Windows to play nice with it. So sometimes it's just an OS thing. It's not that you're using or going to, not so much the OS that you're trying to use. Just part and parcel for technology.
Okay.
So
This
Bazzite,
looks like a console.
yeah. So basically, Bazzite is a copy of like the Steam Deck interface, or a better version of Steam Big Picture. All right, here we go. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Yeah, we go. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. There we go.
Okay.
Hey, all right.
And was that
all right.
just native, or did you?
This
have to
was
set-
native, so
Oh,
I didn't
that's
have to
good.
do anything. So this is what it will boot to every single time, which
Mm-hmm.
is the game mode that has everything installed. You can do, so you go here, you can go to your library. And what it does is, see, it has games that are rated for great on deck. So like all the ones that are like good for Steam Deck, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it would work natively on here. So here's all the ones you can install. All games, so you can just go through, install all your games in here. It sorts by category and everything. These are all my Steam games. I installed 3 games. So we got the finals, which we'll show in a second, God of War and Spider-Man. So then we have all those installed, and then you go through here, you can see all this different stuff. One thing I really like, if you do Control-2, now I will say there is an option that you should be able to get this work on a controller, but I could not get it to work, but I figured out the keybind in here. This is like a quick select option. That allows you to basically app wide. Any game, you can limit the frame rate. You can do some built-in manual overclocking and TDP limits on your graphics cards. You can scale games on your own. And the one thing, what were you saying?
That's what Jackson needed.
Yeah.
I needed a watt limiter.
And then this right here, which I have set up, is a performance overlay, which is honestly, it's like better than Afterburner, I'll be honest with you. And then all this other stuff you have where you can just see your friends and everything. It's very console-like, but before I launch a game, we're going to...
What kind of specs are you running?
Oh yeah, I should tell you the specs.
Yeah, I'm curious. I see you got a ThinkStation.
I can show you.
A
One second.
P410.
See, I got a P410. Scroll down here. So we're currently rocking...
Oh, this is like system info.
I know. We're currently rocking a Xeon, an E5 1650 V4, so it's a 6-core, 12-thread Xeon, very basic. We also have a 5500 XT, and I picked that GPU in particular. It might seem like a weird GPU because this OS really likes 5000 series or greater AMD GPUs. You can do older ones, and you can do NVIDIA,
You should have taken my 6600. It would have been perfect.
it would have been perfect for this, honestly. It works really well. Like out of the box, all the drivers are good to go for. You don't have to do anything. It just pops up. It works. And it has everything set up here. 8 gigs of VRAM. It's the 8 gig model, so we do have a good amount of VRAM there. But
now, one question I did have before we game, do you have a desktop mode?
I do.
Okay.
So what we have is this interface right here. And if you want to switch, so let's hold the middle button, go to power, and let's switch to desktop mode. So if you want to use it as...
So one thing I do notice, if anybody up here specifically, anybody who knows that, if you're in Chimera or Bazzite or any of the consoleized kind of OSs, you know that's an update to the system. Recommend installing that before making content.
Use it as a desktop, just like you would in Mint. You go from that mode to desktop. And then here you can obviously just do normal stuff like you would if you were just using it in a normal desktop. So here is the Bazzite desktop.
It looks good.
Looks pretty good. In terms of my applications,
Dude,
I
that
installed,
looks just like Windows when you pull it up.
this all works really well. I will give them a big shout out to, let's see, where is the Bazzite portal that pops up when you first launch? It allows you to pretty easily go through and install anything you want out the gate. Open RGB if you have RGB software on your PC. I was showing that you get the Wootility for wooting keyboards. You get that pre-installed. Then you go, see, I'll just say install, and then you can go through and install your web browsers. So you can install any web browser you want. You can install any gaming stuff you want. So these are all like GeForce Now, Minecraft launcher. You can go install that. Some other random stuff, TeamSpeak. I don't know why TeamSpeak's in there.
This is definitely a little more user-friendly, I think, than Mint was.
Yeah, music. You can install Spotify. And speaking of all that, I can just go out.
And that right there, boys and girls, is talking exactly what I mean about why different distros and distros knowing their demos matter. Comparing Mint to Bazzite And what did the person that just installed Mint, who knows nothing about Linux by their own accord other than knowing about Ubuntu, is saying that just from the looks of this, this is an easier experience than the one that they just came from on their own personal experience. Says a lot. So, again, distros do matter because at some point, different distros target different demographics differently.
Out of here now, but that allowed me to install basic applications. I only installed 3, so we have Slack.
Slack.
So shout out Slack. Like there's some encryption issues that pop up like this because I think I had to install in legacy and not secure boot mode, and a lot of these applications rely on secure boot, but I'm able to get around them. So
Oh yeah, no, it looks like it works
hello,
good.
I am talking
On Linux.
from Linux. Smile. And there you go.
It worked.
So Slack works. Slack is what we use for our communications. So that's pretty nice. And look, so Slack's good there. And then I also did, we got music, copyright music. I mean, there's the speakers for my, for my computer is what that's playing out of.
Wow, it's playing on like the little front speaker.
It is. All right. Oh no, he sent the preview. But hey, Spotify works great. Only thing that I wish it did is when you switch to the gamepad mode, it does not keep running in the background. You're basically switching instances.
So pretty much, yeah, I would say it almost looked like it in a way restarted. So anything that you're doing in the background, like, will it stay up?
So a lot of it is, I don't think it'll stay up. From what I've seen is you open stuff up, then you switch to gamepad mode. You're kind of using the desktop mode as a way to configure the gaming mode.
Right.
For in a sense. So like if you want to go in here and just run normal Steam, you would go in here and then you would just install your games like normal, and then you would switch to the gamepad mode and do that. Or if you want to configure stuff through here, you can do that as well. But the best part is obviously this being a Steam OS, Steam was just pre-installed with all the Proton layers. Everything was good to go.
That's cool.
And then where is the last thing? Oh, I got VLC. VLC. So that's
basically playing videos and stuff.
Playing videos. And then I had Blender. I didn't get anything for it, but Blender is supported. Cool. So you do 3D modeling and things like that. So those are the applications. We're going to go ahead and, if you want to turn the game mode, return the game mode. And I'm really excited about the overlay. This is the last thing that I was really hoping to get done before, and it wasn't working, but I finally got it. The overlay is like kind of nutty. And I got 3 games that you'll probably see the same issue that Jackson had about the shaders and stuff, because that's still a thing that happens. I guess it's the compatibility stuff that Linux has to deal with, but
I guess it's called Vulkan shaders, whatever that means.
So I think it's probably doing some sort of adapting to make that work. But I think it's really cool just based on the whole idea of having a console-like interface. So let's just do Spider-Man. Hit play.
I'm really excited to see the comments in this video because I bet so many people are going to tell us all the things we did wrong, you know, which would be really cool, honestly. Let us know what we should have done different.
And look at this. Look at this freaking overlay, bro. So like
it's solid. And you didn't have to set all that up, I'm guessing.
No, so do control.
You will get comments one way or the other. Not going to lie. I'm not going to tell you what you do or did or did not do right or wrong. The journey with tech, see, this is where you guys journeyed into hardware and technology and enthusiasm for it. Look at the OS the same way. And that's generally how most of us in Linux come to it eventually, is we still have that enthusiasm for technology. We might be a little oversensitive about the technology stuff or OS preferences, but generally it's the enthusiasm and the sense of discovery for technology that a lot of us really, really enjoy. And the sense of learning, I think is a big, strong suit for it. As far as, you know, stuff that you're, so like Vulkan shaders. So Vulkan is an API. This is, as someone who's been in the weeds way too long, Vulkan translates DX wares or DirectX, you know, calls essentially over to Vulkan. So it's a translation layer. DXVK is essentially the project that makes it work. There's more components to it, but that's the one you generically hear. So the shader compiling is so that translation doesn't have to happen as often, more or less, not on the fly. So it's stored on the system which gives you smoother gameplay. It was something that actually, that process was actually one of the things that helped make Elden Ring less shitty on Windows. So, because originally the best experience for Elden Ring on PC, despite your hardware, was the Steam Deck. Ironic. And the problem was solved because of Linux. So, relative. Basically, Vulkan and Vulkan shaders are the translation portion of making DirectX things work on Vulkan or on Linux, because Linux understands Vulkan OpenGL.
Control 2.
Work.
So there's different levels of it. So you can have that one, you can do that one,
Ooh, that one's clean.
or that's just 60. So like that one I'd probably leave out because you can just see general FPS and everything. But
yeah, it seems like so far yours is definitely overall a better OS. At least in your use case, it seems better. It seems like it'd be better for me. But I do think what you had to go through to get it installed, I had the advantage there.
yeah, definitely. It did take a little bit of time to get all working, but games run really smooth. So like right now, everything is limited to like a native like lock 60, which for a game like this, I would just run lock 60.
When you say limited, is that because of Linux or is that?
So that's just based on the operating system. So like across the board, it basically has a built-in VSync that'll allow you to just limit the frame rate if you want to.
Okay.
And you can just change that however.
So you can get more than 60
yes,
if you want.
yeah,
Okay.
you can.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know because I know that's a bragging point we hear a lot about Linux is people saying like, oh, it runs way better because it's a lot less intensive than Windows. But I'm like, how much better really does Linux normally let a game run?
I know. That'd be curious. If you guys figure out what kind of Linux distro you want to see in the future, if you do like these kind of videos, it might be worth us doing a ultra budget PC and then trying gaming performance on
both,
Windows and Linux, maybe Bazzite, just see what the difference is. If it makes sense.
Oh yeah, I never. How many watts you using once you get in?
Oh yeah.
You're at 124 right now.
Power supply's a 450 watt.
Oh, that's good. Everyone got a war.
Got to work just walking around, pretty much 60 FPS. I think I'm
The
running
Lock
with
6 actually looks good.
Yeah, I think I'm running like something about playing controller in 60 doesn't bother me as much as like keyboard and mouse games, like FPS shooters.
You know,
like,
I think you're right because it looks like you have higher refresh rate because you can't like jerk. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, no, this is one that works just fine. I mean, this area is not super demanding, but honestly, I think this is a puzzle that I never figured out. So
170 watts.
170
Yeah,
watts.
you got headroom.
Nice. 1080p with upscaling. So we got FSR2 running. So there's that. So not bad. Not too bad. It definitely could scale that up a little bit more and get even more FPS. But the last one I do want to test, and I will say I've not tested it since I initially installed before without the game mode. I did a one install that didn't have the game mode, and then I did another install that has game mode. So again, time investment, but it was one of the things where I definitely learned a lot on how this works. We're gonna go ahead and switch back to desktop.
Is it the finals?
And try the finals. Yeah, so we're in the finals from the desktop, which again, that does get rid of like the performance overlay stuff. So I just put the Steam one on there just to see. We're at 1440p, which I wouldn't normally run 1440p for 5500 XC, but hey, we're here. Let's just show you guys that it works. How many booms? 100 FPS. Oh God.
The bots shoot back?
Apparently. Let's go.
Blood almost got cooked by a bot.
I'd be curious, we always do these challenges, and then I always come to the conclusion, like we should have taken the 6600, put it in here, the 5500 XT in your build, and then like wattage wise, it would have been lower. I feel like it'd been balanced.
My build was very unbalanced because I had that extra $50, so I could go crazy.
So yeah, no, this has been working out. I was pleasantly surprised. It did take a lot of time to work, and if you guys saw the series with the mining rig, it was the same deal. But once I got the install going and everything and realized what I was working with, I'm pretty happy with it. So what do you think about Bazzite?
Overall, it seems like a better experience. I want Linux to keep going. I want the installs to get easier and more obvious, because one of the things that I think Matt and I were both seeing is a lot of the people that give guides on Linux are very Linux heavy, and they almost think people know more than they do. But when guys like us who are used to Windows get into Linux for the first time, it's scary. So yes. I would love to see more tutorials and guides out there on how to get things working easier. Yeah, and if you guys want to see PC builds that are Linux focused, let us know down below. But this was a good way to introduce some Linux content on the channel, and you all can tell us if you like it or not. But yeah, we've done our Linux experience. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up real quick. Alright guys, so this was a fun little challenge, and I would say in a way we both met our goals. I did agree that I think Bazzite, a little more user-friendly, a little bit better once you get past the install point, but hey, I think we both got pretty lucky getting good operating systems. Yeah, Linux
has definitely come a long way in terms of gaming. It does have its issues, but in terms of getting everything up and running and playing games through Steam, it works pretty good. Now, we'd still have concerns about average people switching to Linux because of the anti-cheat blocks in games like Fortnite and other big titles out there that you just cannot play on Linux, which I think is still going to hold a lot of people back, but it was still fun to try and give a honest review of both Linux distros, and Bazzite's fun, and Linux Mint is very user-friendly when you get everything set up. So if you guys want to, well, shop for a PC yourself to install Linux on, use the links in the description down below. They will be.
Okay. So this is about a half an hour in like so far of my own editions. So what did I think of the content? I'm not, so most people expect me to shit and rag on these guys for the idiots and all this other stuff. These guys don't know Linux, like generically speaking, don't know Linux. That's not like their in and out operating system. It is no different than someone who spent a lifetime on Windows finally switching to a Mac, because it's going to be fucking different. What I will say, and this is, again, this is something that I've constantly harped on with the Linux community, because we have shitheads in the community who will talk about, oh, distros don't matter, just set it up yourself. And it's like, that's not the fucking point of the distros, you fucking morons. The point of the distros highlighted here show exactly what I was talking about. They cater to different markets for different reasons. Like Linux Mint is a generalized OS. So it's trying to encompass the biggest, net essentially, or cast the biggest net essentially for the audience. So there are certain things that are not done. Whereas something like Bazzite is specifically targeted to a specific demographic, and it is easier to go the other way around and have your key focused demo work, and then take out the things as a user that do not for you. It's ironic. It's almost the Unix design philosophy. Do one thing and do it fucking well. If you know your demo, you're going to do it fucking well. Whereas generalized stuff, you get essentially Windows as far as like the way it's built, the way it's designed, the way, et cetera, et cetera. And there's nothing wrong with that, but understand that the out of the box experience for insert person here is not going to be ideal, because it's not specifically targeted to them. So Windows users, for a vast majority, are used to the certain headaches and setups and, just the certain rigmarole that they're fucking used to. You have 40 years of the bullshit at this point to try to hammer through people's like ingrained use of how they interact with technology. And the first impression is sometimes going to be your only impression. Now, I can't speak to what specifically was causing his issues with installs. Again, the other one who did Linux Mint has its issues because it doesn't always include all the shit with Steam and all the kind of the back end stuff that is always there that's necessarily needed. So there's a myriad of reasons. So when you do these kind of systems and the builds and all this other stuff, I think it's really, really important that we understand this here demonstrates everything over the last decade plus that I've talked about when it comes to Linux use cases, distros mattering, UX and UI design, all that stuff. At the end of the day, matters because the first impression matters, because they might not come the fuck back. Because what you want to do is you want to make that first impression matter so that they keep going down that fucking road of discovery, and we don't want to chase them the fuck off. And far too often, because of our more cynical nature, we tend to chase people the fuck away from the platform instead of welcoming them. And you don't need to, be the most cheery and positivity and all the other shit. But we also need to understand we're dealing with humans, we're dealing with real people. It's technology. We don't have to be jackasses about it just because you've heard the same question 900 times. So RTFM. No, maybe RTMF, the fucking interaction, how you interact with fucking humans, because you never did, apparently. So I will say, good on these guys for going down the road. And I hope the journey continues. I hope to see more content from them. I hope to see them expand their knowledge and learn and all the other stuff that is the benefits of Linux and open source and using that stuff. Because I will tell you one thing, technology can get very dry as far as interest and stuff in it. It's a CPU, it's a GPU, it's RAM. All that shit can get very, very dry and just kind of, its specs, its numbers, who the fuck cares at some point. This is why I've always, I get kind of shit on by certain people that I know about, oh, you use weird hardware. I use the weird hardware because it's something fucking different. And it's not the same thing. So I applaud these guys for going out on a limb and doing something different that is not the same goddamn thing. And I hope they continue. I'm not saying make Linux content all the goddamn time and all that stuff, but I hope you guys continue down the road of finding what makes Linux users love Linux, because once you love Linux, you'll understand why you love technology, because technology is what led me to Linux. And that's the reason I love Linux, but it also keeps my passion for technology lit. And that's the big thing, because there's always a sense of discovery. And I don't get that with Windows, and I sure as shit don't get that with Mac. So keep on discovering, guys. I give you tons of props for going down this road. Other than that, that's kind of my reaction to this. I know there was a good chunks of me not talking, so any of those that want to complain about that, fuck off. You have to listen to what they're saying in order to actually let them talk. And that's what I did. So props on you guys. I will catch you guys on the next one. Any guy on Patreon, all that crap is down below, and peace.